What's up, journeyers? Welcome to today's Tuesday live training. We are talking about financial self-sabotage, how to recognize it and break the cycle. Now, you'll notice I didn't say break the cycle for good because the truth is it's not a forever thing. It's hard to break the cycle forever. But if you can recognize it, if you can recognize when you are self-sabotaging your finances, if you can recognize the things that indicate financial self-sabotage, it becomes way easier to stop it before it even starts. It becomes way easier to stop the cycle quickly, okay? But you're not going to be able to make it so that this never, ever, ever happens again, okay? I want to put that expectation out there right now because this is just reality. And this is nowhere seen better than in like the diet world, right? Like we self-sabotage all the time. We end up overeating, we end up restricting, we go back and forth, the cycle never ends, and then we have a donut and we get mad at ourselves, right? So this is reality that like there's always going to be things to think about. There's always going to be moments when you have a choice to make about what behavior you engage in. And so sometimes those are going to be self-sabotaging behaviors, and sometimes you're going to recognize them and be able to make a difference. So if you are jumping on with us and you are excited to talk about how to break the cycle of financial self-sabotage, say hi in the chats. And let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're stoked. I am going to try to be quick today, but y'all know me. You're probably looking at about 20 minutes. So hang in there tight with me. I just wanted to share. Hi, Courtney. I'm so glad you're here. So I do want to share that a lot of this actually came from a book that I was reading. And it really was it was so helpful for me and enlightening for me because I self-sabotage in a lot of ways. Money just happens to not be one of those ways for me, but I recognize that it is that way for other people. The same way that I feel about my decisions with food is how other people feel about their decisions with money, right? And so I get that. And so being able to take that and put that into perspective for me has made me a better coach because I understand that it is not so easy as to say, well, just stop doing that. Like my dad used to tell me when I was trying to lose weight, he used to say like, you got this. This is super easy. All you have to do is make some chicken breasts and broccoli and just eat that every day. And I was like, no, because I want to enjoy food, right? It's the same way with your money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, okay, this is super easy. All you have to do is just stop spending money. In fact, I literally had a client, when I got on the first call, they were like, we decided we're just going to stop spending money. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not going to work. And so I have taken my perspective of self-sabotage from that end and put it into frame when I take care of my clients because it's really important. But the book that I was reading is this. It is called The Mountain Is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery by Brianna Wiest. Sorry, it's Wiest. And it is like, you can't tell, but I like highlighted or not highlighted, but I like drawn, underlined and circled and starred like every page because it's so good. And so I'm going to share a couple of the themes from this book in perspective, the perspective of your finances, with you guys today. So one quote that I heard a long time ago, that in fact is what started me on this journey of figuring out how to recognize what's happening in my brain while I'm trying to do everything else, is this quote that your brain would rather be right than happy. I'm going to say it again, and then I'll expound on it. And I want you to really internalize this. Your brain would rather be right than happy. So if you're constantly telling yourself, I am bad with money, I'm a spendaholic, I'm a shopaholic, I'll never get out of debt, all these things, I'm never going to figure this out, I spend too much money, I can't control my spending, I'll never be able to. Your brain would rather be right than happy. And so your brain will actually search out things and situations and scenarios that will confirm what you're telling it, right? So you say, I'm so bad with my money. I spend way too much money. I spend without thinking. And then you go and buy something for yourself on Amazon. Okay. Rather than you being able to see that for what it is, which is you saying, hey, I desire this thing. I have the money to buy it. I'm going to buy it. Your brain says, oh, you just spent what on Amazon? See, you're terrible with your money. Your brain would rather be right than happy. Okay? This is so important that you understand this, because sometimes we have to tell our brain to shut up. Sometimes we have to say, thank you. But no, we're not going that route, okay? So understand that there are biological, psychological forces that sometimes work against what you really need in life, because our brains would rather be right than happy. This is actually a primal thing. It is a primal core biological thing, because it is our brains trying to protect us and keep us comfortable and keep us safe. And what is comfortable and safe to the brain is what the brain understands. It's what the brain knows. It's what the brain already has a perspective of. And so when you try to do something different, when you try to tell your brain, hey, we're going to do it this way this time, your brain's like, oh, hold on. I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. And so we're just not going to do that, because I would rather stay in what I know and what's comfortable, because I understand it. We're going to stay here. Okay. And so one of the quotes from the book is, any change, no matter how positive, will be uncomfortable until it is also familiar. Any change, no matter how positive, is uncomfortable until it is also familiar. What does that mean? That means that when you start to make these changes, and we're going to talk about how to recognize this to make changes, when you start to make the changes, it is going to be very uncomfortable. And you have to stick with it. You have to keep telling your brain, it's okay. This is good. This is safe. This is good. This is taking us in the right direction. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It reminds me of the little meme with the little like dog sitting at the table and the whole house is on fire. And he's like, it's fine. It's fine. This is fine. This is fine. Right? You have to understand that as you start to make these changes, it's going to be very uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable it gets, the more you are going to try to fall back onto your self-sabotaging behaviors. So recognizing those self-sabotaging behaviors is one of the hardest and easiest at the same time. Because the most important thing to understand is that, because of the way our brains work, all of your self-sabotaging behaviors are actually designed to keep you safe, fulfill some sort of unmet need, fulfill some sort of unmet desire. Maybe you have some sort of displaced emotion that you don't really want to deal with it over here, so you're going to deal with it this way. All of it is designed to help keep you protected emotionally, physically, psychologically. All of those behaviors are actually designed to keep you safe. So one of the key things that you have to understand about self-sabotage is that self-sabotage doesn't really exist. It doesn't really exist. It is only self-protection. So on one hand of that, you need to give yourself grace. You are not self-sabotaging because you hate yourself. You are not self-sabotaging because you actually want to see yourself fail. The self-sabotaging behaviors are a symptom of another problem, because your brain is trying to protect you. Does that make sense? Your brain is trying to protect you. So I say this all the time. The money is never actually the problem. It is a symptom of the problem. It is a symptom of what's really going on. So the example that I used in my post this week was one of my clients who I absolutely love dearly. She is one of my favorite people ever. We got off of the phone call. Courtney, you'd be shocked how much life coaching I actually do in this whole financial coaching situation. It's all part of it. That's why there's so much mindset in it, right? I heal marriages, man. This shit is real. So we're talking, we go through our whole first session. We talk about the different things that you want to accomplish and all of that. And we get off the phone and or off the call, maybe like an hour or two later, I get this text from her. She said, I need to tell you something. You're going to be mad at me. And I was like, okay, I don't think so, but okay. Right. And as soon as I got off the call, I just went on Amazon and spent $150. And I was like, okay, how do you feel about that? And she was like, I feel like a rebel. I was like, you feel like a rebel? What's that all about? And I said, well, let me ask you something. Did I tell you that you couldn't go spend money on Amazon or that you couldn't spend money at all? And she was like, no. I'm like, okay. So, who are you rebelling against? Shit. Right? It was this moment where she was like, this behavior of let me go spend a bunch of money was not about the money at all. It was this return to comfortable. It was this return to what she knew, and it was a confirmation bias behavior because she kept telling herself, I spend too much money, I'm terrible with my money, I can't control my spending. So what did she do? She went and did something that confirmed that for her because her brain would rather be right than happy. And that was only our first session. We went all the way through all of this stuff, right? About how to help her understand when her purchases were self-sabotaging behaviors and when they are not, right? And how to recognize those things. But first understand, it is about meeting an unmet need of some sort. There is some sort of unmet need, undiscovered emotion, unfilled desire. There's something else going on that is causing you to do those self-sabotaging behaviors, especially when it comes to money. When it comes to money, it is most often something related to control. Most often. This is what I see. I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and this is what I see is it is mostly a control type issue. So the other thing that this book talked about that I love, that I'm going to try to explain in a short way, as opposed to the 2 chapters that she took to explain it, is there is something in our world that we tend to be really like committed to doing in these areas. So like for me, one of my like core commitments is I seek external validation. I seek validation from other people. So if you guys can put in the comments how great I am, no, I'm totally kidding. Please don't. I mean, you can, but please don't. But that's one of my things is I seek external validation. I'm constantly seeking validation, whether it's from other people, from my accomplishments, from things like that. And so what she says is that is something the core commitment tends to be or become a self-sabotaging behavior. It tends to be something like it manifests itself as like a fear. So like if you have a fear of being a passenger in a vehicle, then you commit to always being the driver, right? And so there's that like thing that you're just like, I'm always doing it this way, right? And so there's another thing behind that, which is the core need. And essentially, the core commitment is a band-aid to try to meet the core need. And what tends to happen is that the core need is actually opposite of the core commitment. Or another way that she said it was basically what you really want and desire and need in life is probably the exact opposite of the thing that you're afraid of. Okay. So when it comes to money, you're afraid of, not having control of your money, and you're afraid of being told what to do, and you're being afraid of, and so what do? You go and spend all of your own money because that's how you take control of it, right? What you really need is security. You're afraid that you're going to lose it all and lose all your control. What you really need isn't actually control. It's security, right? So your core commitment is to having control of your money. But the core need behind that commitment to control is security. So for me, my core commitment is to seeking external validation. What I really need at my core is to feel worthy and intrinsically valued no matter what I do. It's the exact opposite. External validation is all about what did I accomplish? What am I showing you? Did I do something to make you happy? So you're going to tell me that I'm great. That is external validation. It is about what did I do that makes me good. what I really need is internal validation. What I really need is to understand how worthy and amazing I am, regardless of what else is going on. That's my core need. And so one of the first steps to breaking the cycle of self-sabotage is recognizing like what the things that I'm doing, what need is this meeting? Because all of these self-sabotaging behaviors, especially when it comes to money, they are just a symptom of a problem that you're not facing, a problem that you're not addressing. So with my client, the issue was there had been so many control issues in the past, and there were so many dreams and desires that she wanted to be able to do. And she kept being told by everyone, by her financial advisor, by all of these people, that if she did this, the thing she wanted to do, that she was going to never be able to, blah, 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 blah. So there was this huge sense of loss of control of her own life, loss of autonomy. What she really needed was trust. She needed to trust herself. She needed to trust her money. She needed to trust her system. What she was committed to was control and I do what I want. What she needed was to trust herself with her money specifically. I'm sure it applies in other areas of her life too, right? And so the first step is just starting to recognize when those behaviors happen. And you know when they happen because you feel like shit afterwards. I'm going to be totally honest with you. There's a reason that she was like, oh, I have to tell you something and you're going to be mad. Because as soon as she did it, she recognized I did this just to meet some sort of weird need and it didn't do the trick. And now I feel like crap, right? Whether it's going and spending money on things, whether it is putting something on a credit card that you had told yourself over and over you weren't going to do that, right? Whatever it is financially, I have a lot of people who are like, I don't even know. Like one of the things that is a hallmark, and this is in the book too, a hallmark of self-sabotage is hiding your head in the sand because you don't want to look at it. You don't want to see what the actual problem is. And your brain would rather be right than happy. So if you tell yourself there's no problem, your brain's like, okay, sure, there's no problem, right? If you just tell yourself there's no problem, everything's fine, I don't have to look at it, I don't need to look at my bank account, I'm sure everything's fine, then your brain's going to be like, okay, sure, fine. Because your brain would rather be right than happy, right? Your brain would rather be right than happy. And so you put your head in the sand and you don't look at it and you just think it'll fix itself. It'll fix itself. If I just, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. I don't have to look at it. I don't need to get help with it. I don't need to go down this path. It's fine. It'll be fine. That is one of the hallmarks of, I'm like looking for some of the other ones because they're so good. One of the hallmarks is putting your head in the sand. So she's talking about the triggers. I'll talk about that in a second. One of the other things, blindly chasing goals when you don't even really know what you want, right? This whole, like, in the business world, there's this stupid 10K month excitement. And I'm like, what does 10K months actually mean for you? And they're like, I don't know. Well, how much money do you really need to take home? I don't know. Well, what do you really want to accomplish? What's your profit margin? I don't know, right? Blindly chasing after goals when you don't even really know if that's what you want, that is a self-sabotaging behavior because you're not willing to look at what you actually want. You're not really looking at what you actually need, right? So looking internally. Your triggers are clues as to where your self-sabotaging behaviors and where your unmet needs are. So whatever, the 10K month, I know it's really annoying. That's why I do the dream business budget too, because I'm like, what do you really need, right? But even things like in the health world, in the nutrition world, wanting to weigh a certain amount or wanting to lose a certain number of pounds or like things like that are just arbitrary. Chasing after a goal that you don't actually want, like you don't actually care about. My number one health goal right now is to get pregnant. I don't give a crap how much I weigh. I don't give a crap what size clothes I'm in. I want to be healthy enough to get pregnant, and that's it. And that is a goal I am actually core committed to versus like, and that meets my need versus like just trying to be like, well, maybe if I, weigh 30 pounds less. No, it has nothing to do with that, right? I need to be healthy. Anyways, again, this is where my self-sabotaging behaviors and things that trigger me, right? Being told how much I can and can't eat. Guess what triggers my clients? Being told how much they can and can't spend. I'm telling you, this exploration makes me a better coach because I understand it, right? This is why I don't tell you how much you can and can't spend. I let you decide. I let you look at your situation and your needs and what you've got going on and let you decide what you're going to spend your money on and how you feel about that. And then guess what? You get to change your mind, because it's about actually looking within and saying, what is the need that I have that isn't being met, that I am using money somehow to do. The same thing happens. I want you to hear me now. Self-sabotage is not just spending too much money, Laura. Yeah, it's true. Self-sabotage is not financially is not always just spending too much money. Self-sabotage can also be hoarding money and living a pauper lifestyle because you're so afraid that money's not going to come. So you must hold on to it. You must not enjoy it. You must just have it in this fear of the what ifs and the rainy days. This is self-sabotaging behavior, because what you actually have is an unmet need. You don't have a security regarding what's going to happen in the future. Why do you not have security regarding what's going to happen in the future? Because you don't have a plan. But you're not meeting that need. You're thinking, if I could just hold on to all of my cash, then it doesn't matter what happens in the future, I'll be fine. And so you're not actually looking at the real problem. Okay. So using your triggers, the things that trigger you, to identify the self-sabotage moments, and then really thinking what's actually behind this. What is the need that I'm trying to meet here? And also giving yourself so much grace to understand that all of your self-sabotaging behaviors are actually self-protective. And so in those moments, when your brain is trying to say, that's okay, this is what you always do. Everyone puts money on the credit card. This is normal. This is comfortable. This is familiar. It's okay. Just do that. I know that's not what you want. I know you'd rather save money. I know you'd rather pay off debt, but this is what we understand. We've been totally fine doing it this way. For how long have we been fine? Fine. In those moments, this is when you get to stop and tell your brain, thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. I understand that this is unfamiliar and it's a little scary, but I trust myself and I trust the process. And so we're going to go this way. And it's okay, brain. It will get familiar soon. We're going to keep doing it this way, and then it will be familiar. Until January of this year, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's October. Wow. Until January of this year, was lucky if I brushed my teeth once a month. It's clinical depression for you. I was lucky if I brushed my teeth once a month. Since mid-January, I think I used the date January 16th, it doesn't really matter. Since sometime around mid-January, I have now brushed my teeth, washed my face, and taken my supplements twice a day, nearly every day for 9 months. Why? Because in those moments when my brain was like, no, you're tired. No, you're tired. Go to bed. No, you don't need to do that today. You didn't even eat anything weird. It's fine. You don't have anything in your teeth. It's fine. Just go to bed. I told my brain, thank you for protecting me. This takes 3 minutes. I'm just going to do this really quick. It's going to be fine. And now it is 100% normal. I don't even think about it. I very rarely talk myself, like once a month, I might talk myself out of one teeth brushing. But even then, I think I've missed like half a dozen teeth brushings in 9 months. Okay. Like, because now it's normal and familiar and safe for me to do that every day, twice a day. Okay. In January, it was not. In January, I had to talk myself into it every day. The same thing goes for your money behaviors, guys. When you start to track your expenses, when you start to look at your bank account on a regular basis, when you start to actually make a plan for your money, when you start to tell yourself no, when you start to tell yourself yes, whatever it is, when you start to do those things that help break out of this cycle, it is going to be very uncomfortable. And you're going to have to tell your brain it's safe. Thank you for trying to protect me. This is safe. This is what will make me happy. This is what we're doing. And eventually, it is normal. And the great thing, this is what I tell my clients, and this is what I talk about in my group program, which, by the way, is launching again soon with a total revamp. Anyways, this is what I teach people is eventually you get to a point where your awareness around your money habits is so clear and so good and so healthy that you can go back to not having to look at it as often, not having to think about it as much, because your behaviors are so natural and normal now. It is normal for me to take 20 minutes to coupon before I go to the grocery store, meal prep and shop off my coupon list, and I spend between $150 and $165 every time. I don't have to think about my grocery budget because I am consistent inside of my grocery budget, because my habits around how we buy our groceries and how we save leftovers and all that, it's so ingrained, right? And so this whole idea of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to think about this all day, every day, and I have to talk my brain out of things every day for the rest of my life. It's not. Breaking the cycle is like, it's like an ascending spiral, right? Where it's like, oh, this is really hard. Oh my gosh. And then like it starts to get, oh, this is all right. It's a little easier and easier, right? As you go up, the more you do it, the easier it gets, because every change, no matter how positive, will always be uncomfortable until it is also familiar. And once it is familiar, it is no longer uncomfortable. Once it is familiar, it's like, oh yeah, I did do that. Right? Like, did I brush my teeth this morning? Of course I brushed my teeth this morning. I brush my teeth every morning, right? Of course I did. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to convince myself. I didn't have to talk myself into it. It has been 9 months. This is not an overnight thing. This is not a quick thing, right? But it is possible to start recognizing those things that we're doing to self-sabotage, self-protect, and then start making those little changes. The best changes that you can make are these small incremental micro shift changes. I am not going to sit here and assume that everyone spends a bunch of money on Starbucks every day. Like, these people are like, oh, it's just give up your daily latte. Like, not everybody has a freaking daily latte. Okay. I mean, I had a daily macchiato there for a little while. It's been 45 days and I've had one macchiato in 45 days and I'm very proud of myself. But that has to do with the sugar and not the money. I was like, I'm drinking too much sugar. And really it was making me feel icky. So the longer that you go, not identifying and addressing the actual need, the core need, the longer those core commitment behaviors, in other words, the self-sabotaging behaviors, the longer those will continue. The more you can shift to focus on fulfilling your core need, the actual desire, the actual thing behind the thing, the less those self-sabotaging behaviors, the less those self-sabotaging behaviors pop out, right? Commit to fulfilling the core need, and the self-sabotaging behaviors become less and less and less. Why? Because the purpose of those behaviors was to try to fulfill that core need. So if you can find other ways to fulfill your core need, you don't need the self-sabotaging behaviors anymore, because you're safe and you're protected, right? You're taken care of. Your brain can still be right, but in a way that's healthy and that's good for you and good for your wallet and your bank account, right? I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. So one of the strongest things that you can do, especially at the beginning, is plan ahead. And I don't just mean plan ahead for what you're going to do, right? It's not what I mean. It is, but it's not all of it, right? Plan ahead for what you're going to do when it goes wrong. Because think again about the dieting thing, right? As far as control is, if you've been dieting, you've been doing so good for like 3 weeks, and then you like slip up and have some ice cream. I don't know how you slip up and have ice cream, but you know what I mean. You have some ice cream, or somebody offers you like a donut in the morning and you're like, I'd be rude to say no, right? And so you have a donut in the morning. The rest of the day you're like, well, I already had a donut. Might as well eat all the things, right? Might as well have pizza. Okay. Instead, plan ahead for, if I have a moment of weakness, if I have a moment where I let the self-sabotaging behaviors take over, if I do that thing, then what will I do? What will I tell myself? What will I do about it? What behaviors will I put in place? Plan ahead, not just for it to go right and what you're going to do, but also plan ahead for what to do in the event that you see the cycle coming in. What will I tell myself? And you can't just like affirmation yourself out of self-sabotage. You have to actually meet your core need, right? So if you recognize yourself doing something, maybe your action is to stop for a minute and take 15 deep breaths and ask yourself what it was really about and why you did that. What's the need what need did I just meet? What need did I have right before I did that? What was going on? What need did I just meet by doing that? Okay, I see that now. What could I do next time? Right? And so this is a process, guys. This is a process. You cannot do this overnight. You cannot do this overnight. It takes so much work. And I will tell you, most people do not actually change their lives until not changing becomes more uncomfortable. Let me say that again. Most people do not actually change their lives until not changing becomes more uncomfortable. Someone asked me the other day, so what does it cost to work with you? And he's a good friend of mine, so jokingly I said, are you asking what it costs to work with me or what it costs to not work with me? And he was like, because it's true. And until the cost of not changing becomes more uncomfortable, most people don't even make the effort. So that's the question for you guys today. How uncomfortable are you? How sick are you of it? How ready are you to actually start meeting the actual needs that you have that these money behaviors are just a symptom of? Are you ready to actually dig in, recognize the behaviors, and look deeper into them to figure out what's really behind them? And then to start putting behaviors in place. Two types of behaviors. One, behaviors to address and meet that core need that needs to be met. And two, behaviors to stop yourself from actually doing the self-sabotage behaviors, right? Sometimes you need to put safety measures in place, right? Not all the time, sometimes. How ready are you? Because most people will not make a change. They won't seek help. They won't make changes. They won't read books. They won't try new things until staying the same becomes more uncomfortable. So how uncomfortable are you? You at that point? Are you ready to start digging in with somebody who has a lot of experience figuring out what money triggers are going on in people's minds? I have seen it. I have seen everything. I have seen the hoarding of money all the way to the spending extravagantly of money and everything in between. I have clients who were overdrafting every single pay period for 6 or 8 months before we worked together. And within 4 weeks, done. And they never overdrafted a paycheck again. Because they just needed to see it, right? They just needed to see what was really going on. They needed to see what they were doing to themselves, what needs they were meeting, right? I have clients that were on the other extreme where they were making plenty of money, so much money, and didn't have a dime to show for it because they just spent it because they could, right? And there's a lot of generational stuff. There's a lot of childhood things, right? All of that. It's core needs that need to be met. And literally after one phone call, their mindsets clicked. They stopped their self-sabotaging behaviors. They recognized what it was they actually desired. They started moving towards that. They paid off $3,600 worth of debt within 4 weeks after our one phone call. Saved up like $10,000. And I literally just got an email from her yesterday that made me like jump up and down in my car because they recognized that their deep need and desire was to own their own home. And how did this present itself in terms of self-sabotaging behaviors? They kept buying things for their rental home to try to make it feel more homey. What they really deeply desired was their own home. And I got an email from her yesterday that they have officially qualified for a mortgage. They are getting their own house, and I'm just so excited for that because they were worried they were going to do it. Anyways, they've done amazing things. I'll post a screenshot of that in here because I'm so proud of everything that she's accomplished. But that was the thing. Their self-sabotaging behaviors were the exact opposite what they really wanted. They were trying to make this rental house home, and what they really deeply desired was their own home. And they had no idea financially how to make that happen. One phone call, click. So I have an offer for you guys today. I'm so sure and so committed to the idea of helping people find those pieces. What is the need that you need to meet? What are the behaviors that are presenting themselves here? What is that? And how do we start making shifts in our finances and shifts in our mental space to start making changes? There are some of you who are watching this who I know have been stuck in the same cycle with your money for years. And you just keep telling yourself, if I just did this, if I could just stop spending money. If I could just do this, it will work itself out. And yet it hasn't, right? Are you uncomfortable enough to make a change and do something different? Are you uncomfortable enough where you are to start looking at what it would look like to make a change? If so, I am offering a nice single 90-minute intensive. 90 minutes. There's a little bit of work you'll do up front, right? So that we're prepared for it going into it. 90 minutes for us to really dig deep. What's really behind these behaviors? Because you guys, personal finance, it's 80% behavior. It's only 20% math. Okay. We're going to dig super deep into it. We're going to find those pieces. What are the core needs? What are the things that you're doing to kind of band-aid those, right? To try to protect yourself and keep yourself in the familiar. And how can we put things in place that not only protect you just practically from your own self-sabotage, but also what kinds of things can you do to start meeting this need in a way that doesn't involve sabotaging your money, right? 90 minutes. You and me. Bring your spouse if you want to. And we're going to dig into it. We're going to make it happen. I used to do these sessions for like $777. And when I think about this client who, after one phone call, paid off $3,600 in debt and saved up $10K in the next 6 weeks, I was like, oh yeah, totally worth $777. And I still believe it's worth that. But I realized this is the kind of thing that what I deeply desire for you guys is that you jump on it so that you can get these results quickly and make massive changes in your mindset around money, in your actual behaviors around money so quickly that I don't want money to be the barrier, because that's crazy, right? I don't want money to be the barrier. And so I decided to cut it down. And I'm really excited about it. I want you guys to get these results. I want you guys to dig deep into your own mind. This is the kind of work I've been doing for myself, right? Of breaking through, why am I doing this? What's really behind this? And the changes that I've been able to make are massive. And the changes that I see in my clients are massive. My client that felt guilty or like a rebel for spending $150 now takes herself on vacations to South America with zero guilt because she trusts herself and her money. Right? Sorry, guys. So, Cooper. It's the pest control guy. Cooper, hush, sit. I know. So, let me just tell you, DM me if you want it. It's only $397. $397. It's, sorry about the dog. I love you guys. I do want to get the door. I love you guys. As always, trust yourselves and enjoy the day.